Tune into this week's episode of Gen B TV, where we're going to show you how to choose the wine that's going to make Saturday nights a lot more enjoyable and Sunday mornings less painful. Welcome to today's show. I'm Jen Boulden with Gen B TV, a weekly web show about fresh thinking on green living. We do the research for you and then bring you just the best of the best ideas in 5 minutes or less. It's now time to tune in and be turned on to a whole new way to think about sustainable sipping. We're here on the Central Coast in Santa Barbara wine country, made famous by that movie Sideways. Choosing a sustainable wine is clearly going to be better for the planet, but what you might not know is it's going to be better for your headaches. A lot of people blame sulfites, that preservative that's in the wine, for their headaches. However, only about 1% of the people are allergic to sulfites, so it's probably not that. One reason for the headaches might be because of the histamines. These are the natural allergens found in grapes, especially red grapes. So if you're drinking a really dark red wine, you might get that headache. And a likely cause is mass-produced wine uses a lot of chemicals in the growing process, and they even use chemical stabilizers afterwards, in addition to adding sugars to make them sweeter. That is definitely a concoction for a good old headache. The best rule of thumb to avoid the hangover is 1 glass of water for each glass of wine. I promise it does work. So when vintners pay attention to what goes into the soil, making a better vine and therefore a better grape, you're of course going to get a better wine. But you can also tell which wines have been given more TLC with the label. All right, so now we know, look for a USDA organic symbol on food when we're looking for organic food. However, on wines, it's incredibly hard to get this label because that means they cannot add sulfites. Now, sulfites do occur naturally in grapes, but added sulfites are not allowed in USDA organically certified wines. But it's much easier to find a really good wine made with organically grown grapes. Just look for that on the label. Wine made with organically grown grapes. Okay, so biodynamic wines. Now, by default, they are organic. However, they also involve a little bit more of a complex system. This system is based on really sound science, but also a little bit of kind of crazy mysticism. Like they believe in burying a cow horn with manure and maybe grounding up a few gophers and sprinkling them around so that other gophers don't eat the vines. However, it is a very hot trend and it is producing some amazing wine, so biodynamic definitely deserves a seat at the table. So if you are interested in biodynamic wines, look for this symbol. Here in California wine country, we have a certification called SIP, S-I-P. It's Sustainability in Practice. There's actually an extensive list of qualifications, and you can go and see all of them on the website, and while you're there, check out all the wineries that have been certified. So here's the million-dollar question. With all of those choices, which wine will you pick? We're here today at Clos Pepe, and we've got Wes and Andrew here to help us answer that question. So what type of practices do you do here on this vineyard to keep Clos Pepe healthy?
Well, obviously you can see around us, we do not use herbicide. We use chickens and sheep to encourage soil fertility and to add their manure to our compost. Yeah. So we run the sheep during dormancy and then we collect their manure throughout the year and we compost that with all of our green waste. And we put that back into the field. And what we're seeing is areas that we're composting and using the sheep. We see cleaner fermentations, higher assimilable nitrogen, which also aids in cleaner fermentations. So again, I won't use a sustainable or organic practice unless it actually shows a real improvement of wine quality and deliciousness. And even though I'm not committed to say I'm going to be 100% organic all the time, the irony is the closer we get to the organic model, the more these wines represent the time and the place where they're grown.
And so meaning closer to organic, the better the taste?
It's sort of like well, yes.
Yes.
Yes. And it's sort of like an atheist saying every time I pray, it works.
Right.
So I'm not committed to the organic lifestyle in the sense that I'm going to do it because it's organic. But because I think to a certain extent organic can be a little exclusionary. But at the same time, the closer we get to organic, the better the wine becomes. So I have to admit that soil fertility and being careful about the way we farm here, everything we do to the grape shows. So if we're committed, that commitment shows in the bottle. And we're standing right here less than 100 yards from my bedroom window and my front porch. So whatever, it's partially narcissistic.
Yeah, you don't want it sprayed into your windows and your lungs all the time.
Whatever is sprayed here, I'm drinking it, I am breathing it, and my dogs are breathing it, my wife is breathing it. Everything is breathing it. My customers are breathing it. And my customers are some of my best friends.
How would our viewers all across the nation figure out how to find amazing wines like yours?
Well, I think first of all you need to realize that fast food and fast wine are dying, thank goodness. So if you want to find wines that you can buy for a good value, you're going to have to do some research. Part of slow wine and slow food is to know the farmers where you get your food. Generally, I find that every little environment, like West LA, has 10 people that basically tell everybody else what to drink. I call them the ripple makers. So you find the ripple maker that really understands wine, that may be a wine professional, that may be someone in the business, or
someone like Andrew.
Someone like Andrew.
Andrew, you're a sommelier, and when I'm so fortunate as to meet someone like you, I always tap their brain for their knowledge on what wines to drink. What about all of these different certifications and the labels?
Finding, again, something that you can trust. If you see something that says SIP certified, you know it's sustainably farmed, and that's something that then you can follow up on and find other brands that have that. Finding an importer that finds small family farmed wine. Finding entry points, whether it's Live, which is a certification they use up in Oregon, or as I mentioned, SIP. There are several different certifying bodies. It's really about asking questions. Whether you're back at the table with the sommelier, telling them what you're looking for, extending some trust, and then hearing back from them the feedback, and then try the wines that they suggest, and then you know whether or not you can continue that relationship.
Which is probably a good research assignment if you think about it, right?
Absolutely.
Like, who wants to do a lot of research except when it has to do with wine? It's a fun process.
Sure.
Hey, Jim Boulden, don't forget about your favorite wine. You never take me out to dinner.
And remember, consumer choice is driving change. That means we concerned, caring citizens, with the choices that we make, it's really starting to add up. And in fact, you can multiply all these efforts by just telling your friends using that handy-dandy little button. That's right, tell them about sustainable wine and they're gonna love you. Thanks for caring and thanks for sharing, and we'll see you next week. So thanks for caring and thanks for sharing, and I'm a dork. I'm not using that one.
Hey, Jim Boulden, don't forget about your favorite wine. You never take me out to dinner.
What are you doing with the mic?